fiery horse with the speed of light, a cloud of dust, and a hearty Hi-Yo Silver, the Lone Ranger. With his faithful Indian companion Tonto, the daring and resourceful masked rider of the plains led the fight for law and order in the early western United States. Nowhere in the pages of history can one find a greater champion of justice. Return with us now to those thrilling days of yesteryear. From out of the past come the thundering hoofbeats of the great horse Silver. The Lone Ranger rides again.
Come on, Silver. Let's go, big fellow. I'm Silver. Away!
The town of Muldoon was comparatively free of outlawry, due primarily to the efforts of Sheriff Hank Pettigrew. The sheriff was a grizzled old veteran of many fights. He was as tough as a pine knot, and he had an uncanny knack of judging men. He had picked Jim Lawson as a deputy.
Well, Jim, I reckon it's about time we closed up the office for the night.
Suits me, Sheriff.
Going right home?
Yeah.
I'm going that way. I'll walk with you.
What's on your mind, Sheriff?
Nothing.
You
Why?
had something rankling in your mind each time you walked home with me. Wondered what it is this time.
Suspicious, cuz, huh?
Maybe that's one of the things you taught me.
Did you notice the handbill that came in today? The one on Trigger Taylor?
Howdy, Sheriff.
Oh, howdy.
Hi, boys. What about it?
He's been dodging the law for a long time. 5 years or so.
Wanted for murder, isn't he?
Murder, stage robbing, horse stealing. He's wanted for plenty. You know, Jim, there's a chance that he might be in this vicinity.
Is that so?
I had a letter saying someone resembling him had been seen heading this way.
It'd be a feather in your cap to jail a man like Trigger Taylor.
Yep, he's plenty tough. But I reckon the two of us could handle him. We handled the Larson boys.
Uh-huh.
That was quite a gunfight we had with the Larsons, wasn't it, Jim?
Sure was.
The two of us faced death together that time. We sort of owe each other our lives. Wouldn't you say so, Jim?
I reckon so.
Sort of makes a bond between us, don't it?
Yeah.
Well, then why in tarnation won't you trust me?
Well, what do you mean, Sheriff?
Well, when you came to town 5 years ago, I took you at face value and gave you a job without asking questions about your past.
Regret it?
No, you've been a good man. But I know blame well Jim Lawson's not your real name. I've been hoping you'd open up sooner or later and confide in me.
Well,
You're hiding your past, Jim. Why?
Sheriff, 5 years ago, I told you you'd have to take me at face value. That still goes.
Still don't trust me, huh, Jim?
It's not a case of trusting anyone. Just that I closed the book on the past when I came here, and I'm not going to open it again.
All right, Jim. Have it your way.
You coming in my place for a while?
No, I'll shove on. Don't forget what I told you about Trigger Taylor.
I won't. Good night, Sheriff.
Good night, Jim.
Wonder why he got so curious about my past all of a sudden.
Steady there,
What?
you're covered. Over here, Jim, in the corner.
Trigger Taylor.
Yeah, that's right. I'm surprised you recognize me after 5 years.
What do you want here?
So now you're a lawman, huh? Well, imagine that. I'll just take that gun so you won't be tempted to make a fool move. There. Toss it over in the bunk.
What are you... Why did you come here, Taylor?
I understand they've got a handbill out for me.
You know they have.
I'm hard-pressed, Jim. Need ammunition, a horse, and a change of clothes. With handbills all over this part of the country, I don't dare show myself in a store to buy anything. So I'm here. I came here to shop.
You expect me to give you those things?
If you do, I'll head for the border. I'll be safe enough in Del Rio. If the law comes too close, I can hop over the border into Mexico.
If you think I'm
Hold
gonna...
it, Tin Horn. Or should I call you Jim Dodsworth?
Not so loud.
Oh, so you don't like to hear the name of Dodsworth, huh? You had any word from home in the past 5 years?
No.
I should think you'd be concerned about that sister of yours. She's all alone. But then, of course, I can't blame you for not wanting to take any chances. They're still holding a murder charge against you over where we came from.
You know I didn't mean to kill that man.
You should have stuck around and told that to a jury.
Taylor, you know the truth of it. You know he went loco mad when he lost that bet to me. He went for his gun and I shot in self-defense. You could clear me of that charge if you wanted to.
Who'd believe Trigger Taylor?
I ought to shoot you right now.
Not while I'm holding the gun. Besides, you couldn't shoot me. You're hindered by conscience. I'm not afraid of you shooting me. You'll be in the clear as long as I'm not caught. But remember this. If I'm caught, I talk. Now, how about some ammunition, clothes, and a horse?
There's the ammunition and one of my guns. That's all I can spare.
Yeah, that'll do right fine. Now, let's see about some clothes. Yeah, the shirt and pants are just a little tight, but they'll do first rate. As soon as I buckle on the gun belt, we'll go outside and see what you can do for me in the way of a horse. This horse will be good enough, Jim. Thanks a plenty. Now I'll keep my part of the bargain. I'll head for the border and do my best to keep away from the law so you won't be exposed. So long, Jim.
Goodbye.
Get up there.
What else could I do? What else could I do?
After equipping the notorious outlaw with ammunition, clothes, and a horse, the young deputy sat in his small house. His head was bowed, resting on his cupped hands. He was badly shaken by a sense of guilt and felt that he had betrayed the badge he wore so proudly. Presently, he sat erect. He heard a horse come to a halt beyond the door.
If Taylor's come back up...
You didn't give me time to wrap.
Masked.
Steady. Don't go for a gun.
Are you...
I'll come in.
Who are you? What do you want here?
I'm looking for a man named Taylor. Trigger Taylor. You know him?
There's a handbill on him.
The handbill didn't mention the fact that he smoked cigarettes made of brown paper. I picked up several of them, half smoked. The last one was near your house.
Was?
Has he been here?
Why do you ask that?
Is the question unfair?
Well, no, of course not.
Your name is...
Jim Lawson.
That's what they call you.
Yeah.
I wonder. Did you come from Valverde County?
Why do you ask that?
Didn't you?
Look here, mister. Where I come from is nobody's business.
Trigger Taylor came from Valverde, too.
I wouldn't know.
There's another man from his town who's being hunted. A man named Jim Dodsworth. He's wanted for something that happened 5 years ago.
Well, what about it?
Maybe he and Taylor have teamed up.
It isn't likely.
It would be very unlikely if Dodsworth knew the truth.
What do you mean, the truth?
When Dodsworth left Valverde, he left a sister. The girl had money enough to live on, but Taylor stole it.
Taylor stole... Are you sure of that, mister?
Yes. Are you sure Taylor isn't around here?
Of course. You can see for yourself I'm alone here, can't you? Look here, why are you looking for Taylor?
Not in the way you think.
Well, that mask.
It's often misleading, Jim. If you see Taylor, be ready to shoot. He's dangerous. You can identify him by half-smoked brown paper cigarettes.
Yeah, sure.
Like the one over there, near your fireplace.
What? He knows Taylor was here.
After leaving the deputy sheriff's home, the Lone Ranger hurried to his camp at the edge of town where Tonto was waiting.
Oh, Silver. Oh, boy. Oh, easy. That'll scout, Tonto. We're traveling.
You find killer, Kemosabe?
No, but I learned that he'd been in the home of the deputy sheriff.
Easy, big fella. Feller named Lawson.
Yes.
Him one we hear about?
Came here just about the time Jim Dodsworth disappeared from Valverde County.
That's right.
I think his real name is Jim Dodsworth.
Him friend of Taylor?
I don't know, Tonto.
You tell Deputy how Taylor robbed Sandy Dodsworth?
Yes, and the expression on his face confirmed my suspicions.
Steady there, Scout. Steady, fella. Where we go now?
I think Taylor's heading toward Del Rio. We'll go there.
That near border?
Yes, I know.
Well,
Easy, big
ready now.
Come on, Silver.
Head off, Scout.
Jim Lawson kept pretty much to himself during the day after the appearance of Trigger Taylor and the later visit of the masked man. Sheriff Pettigrew was curious, but he asked no questions. That night, when Pettigrew went to his home, he found a tall masked man waiting.
Take it easy, Sheriff. Close the door and keep your hands away from your guns.
Looks like you got the drop on me.
Only to be sure you don't draw and shoot before I have a chance to talk.
Why are you masked and what do you want?
Do you want Trigger Taylor?
Where's he at?
Del Rio?
Right on top of the border, huh? Well, he's right to home with a plenty of other men that are dodging the law.
Aside from Taylor, I'd like to know something about your deputy, Jim Lawson.
Jim closed the book on his past about 5 years ago. I like him, and I'm not too curious about what happened before he came here.
Well, I'm glad you like him. That means we're both on his side. Now, sit down, Sheriff, and listen to what I have to say.
All right. Start talking.
You want Trigger Taylor. Well, you can get him. But your deputy must make the capture.
You mean Jim? Why must he make the capture?
Because of something that happened more than 5 years ago, back in Valverde County.
In the part of his life that's a closed book, huh? Tell me about it.
I intend to. After I finish, you'll see why it's important that you send Jim to get Trigger Taylor.
The curtain falls on the first act of our Lone Ranger story. Before the next exciting scenes, please permit us to pause for just a few moments. to continue our story. Sheriff Hank Pettigrew's ability to judge a man served the Lone Ranger well. Despite the mask, Hank soon lost his antagonism and listened attentively to a plan that unfolded. The following morning, he was pacing the floor of his office when his deputy, Jim Lawson, arrived.
I've been waiting for you, Jim.
Yeah?
Jim, we're going to get that polecat, Trigger Taylor.
Oh? We are?
I've heard he's over at Del Rio.
Where did you hear that?
It don't matter where I heard it. I'm pretty sure it's true. I'm going to send you down there to get him.
Me?
A lot of outlaws are in Del Rio, Jim. You may have a stiff gunfight on your hands.
Yeah, I reckon that's true.
Now, you'll have to move careful so he can't hop across the border to Mexico.
I know it.
Now, if you get him out of Del Rio and back here, your troubles aren't ended. You might find yourself facing a lynch mob. I'm sending you, Jim, because I think you can handle the situation better than I can.
Sheriff,
What's the matter, Jim? You afraid of the job?
No, it's not that. I'll go.
Good. You better start right away. It's a 4-hour ride on a good horse. Now, take this handbill so you'll be sure to recognize Taylor. How soon do you aim to start?
I'll start right away.
That same morning found the Lone Ranger joining Tonto in the town of Del Rio.
Oh, easy, steady, big fella. Easy.
Ride all night, Kemosabe?
No, Tonto. After I talked to the sheriff, I went to our last camp for a few hours of sleep before starting back here.
Sheriff agreed to plan?
Yes, he's talking to Jim Lawson this morning. Is Trigger Taylor still in town?
Him still here.
And we'll both keep an eye on him to make sure he doesn't cross the border. Jim should be here early this afternoon.
The cafe in Del Rio was a favorite rendezvous for outlaws who wanted to be close to the border so they could cross into Mexico when necessary, and for fugitives from justice in Mexico who had already crossed the border to find security in Texas. The bartender eyed Trigger Taylor for a moment.
Well, what are you looking at, Baldy? Take a good look.
Taylor. That's it. Just trying to place you, that's all.
You aim to do something about it?
Nope. What'll it be?
Set up your best. Leave the bottle on the bar.
Best it is. I saw your face on the handbill. I'm good at recollecting faces.
Yeah, there's plenty of critters in this place that are on handbills.
No mistake about that. Well, there it is, Taylor. Best in the house.
I'll pay for that.
Hey.
What?
Jim, what are you doing here?
Maybe I just came down to be with an old partner.
Hey, is that a Lawman's badge?
Whatever it is.
You are...
Shut up, Baldy. This particular tin horn makes any trouble, I'll handle him personal.
The bill is paid, Taylor. Now step outside. I want to talk to you.
Why?
Can't talk here. There are too many people around. There's something you should know right away.
All right, come on. Jim, I hope for your sake you got no fancy notions of acting the part of a lawman.
I just want to speak to you about those clothes of mine you're wearing.
After you.
Thanks. Over this way, Taylor. I left my horse right next to the one you borrowed from me.
You're downright mysterious.
You'll understand everything as soon as we get over to the horses.
The boys in Del Rio stick together, Jim. It's suicide for a lawman to start anything.
Here are the horses.
Now, what about these clothes?
I'm taking them back with me, Taylor. And you win them.
Why,
Hold
you...
it.
Draw on me, huh? Listen, Tin
I'll
Horn.
take that gun. Make a fast move, Taylor, and I'll let you have
Oh,
it.
you crazy fool. You take me in and I'll tell all I know about you. I'll see you hang.
Can't help that, Taylor. You're under arrest.
You see those 4 men near the cafe? Well, they'll come on the run. They hate lawmen. Now put up that gun.
Get on that horse.
Hey, boys, the law.
You...
Well, go on. Drill me if you got the nerve, but be ready to dodge lead. Come on, you man. Get this tin horn.
Take him, Jim. We'll hold off the others. Who's
Who's that masked man?
Hold him back, Tonto. Me, Sammy. Go on, Jim. Take your prisoner.
You heard that, Taylor. Get going.
All of you, get back. The same for anyone else who draws a gun.
That fellow with guns.
Get up there. Come on, boy.
All of you, get back there.
Jim got Taylor.
All right, we'll follow him. Come on,
Lone Ranger and Tonto followed Jim and his prisoner for a time, then took the lead and chose a route over ground that would hold no tracks for crooked townsmen to follow. When he was sure that all pursuit had been outdistanced, the masked man signaled a halt.
On up, Jim. Stop here. You too, Taylor.
I'm much obliged to you for helping me get this critter out of town. Why are we stopping here?
Tonto, get a rope on Taylor.
Hold on. Listen to me.
You keep quiet.
If you're on the side of the law, why do you wear that mask?
A lot of people ask that question, Taylor.
Well, if you want to capture a murderer, you'd better take that lawman in. He's...
Me make rope plenty tight.
You're trying to cut me in two.
Me make sure you not get loose.
You'll pay for this, Jim. You wait and see. I'll tell what I know about you.
Jim, there's one way to make sure he doesn't talk. He might be shot trying to escape.
He's not going to escape with those ropes on him.
It wouldn't surprise me to see a lynch mob waiting for him in Muldoon.
Lynch mob?
Of course, as a lawman, it's your duty to see that he gets a trial. On the other hand, I don't suppose you could be blamed if a lynch mob got the better of you and took your prisoner.
Just what are you getting at, mister? Why are you talking like that?
I wonder what you'll do. You ready, Tonto?
Ready.
We may meet again, Jim. Hasta la vista. Come on, Silver.
Come up, Scout.
Well, Taylor?
Listen, Jim. Turn me loose and I'll cut over the border. We'll forget the whole thing.
That masked man knows you'd never escape unless I let you. Besides, I promised Hank Pettigrew I'd bring you in. And if a lynch mob gets you, it'll serve you right.
So that's your play. You're going to get me lynched so I can't tell what I know about you.
I'd like to take the law into my own hands. We're going to town. Get up there. Come on, boy.
During the ride to the county seat, Jim was torn between two choices. A successful lynch mob would dispose of Trigger Taylor before the outlaw could reveal the deputy's true identity. Yet Jim knew it would mean betrayal of his badge to let a lynch mob have his prisoner. He neared the town, and when he saw a dozen men assembled, he knew Hank Pettigrew must have passed the word that Trigger Taylor was on the way. Taylor saw a crowd approaching and read grim purpose in the frowning faces of the men.
It's a lynch mob. Jim, you can't let them take me.
Keep riding, Taylor.
The least you can do is untie my hands. Give me a gun. Give me a chance.
There he is. It's Taylor. He's a killer.
Jim, they're coming. Some of them have ropes.
Line up right here. Ho there.
You can't let them have me. You're a lawman.
You called me a tin horn.
You're a lawman. I tell you got to protect a prisoner. It's your sworn duty.
It'd save me a lot of trouble if they got you.
Don't let them. Please, Jim, don't let them. I got a right to a trial. You're a lawman, Jim.
Yeah, that's what makes it tough, Taylor. I'm a lawman. Get back there. Get back, I tell you.
Hold on, Jim. You won't shoot your own friends, will you?
This man's going to jail, and he's going to stand trial. There'll be no lynching unless you get me first.
We can do that, too.
We're backing Jim's play.
Hey, a masked man.
The Lone Ranger came into view over the side of an arroyo holding two guns, and he was not alone. Tonto stepped to his side, and then Hank Pettigrew, the sheriff.
It's the sheriff. It's Pettigrew himself. How did he get there? Watch yourselves, boys. Don't start anything. We got guns enough to bust up any lynching.
You hear that, boys? Now break it up. Turn around and go on home about your business. The law will take care of Trigger Taylor.
Throw Taylor right into that cell, Jim.
In you go, Taylor. That'll hold you.
Good work, Jim. You did a fine job bringing that killer in.
You wait till you hear what I got to say, Sheriff. I'll tell you a few things about your deputy.
Save your breath, Taylor. I'll tell it myself. First of all, Sheriff, here's my badge. I'll hand it in and save you the trouble of asking for the badge of a man who's wanted for murder.
Meaning you, Jim? That calls for an explanation.
My real name's Dodsworth. Trigger Taylor and I came from the same town in Valverde County. 5 years ago, I shot a man.
I heard about Jim Dodsworth.
The man I shot was a dirty, scheming, crooked gambler. He swindled everyone with marked cards. I figured to teach him a lesson, so I switched packs. When he had to play with honest cards, he lost. He went for a gun. So did I. He shot first and missed. I didn't miss.
You were there, weren't you, Taylor?
I saw the whole thing.
Taylor's the only one who can swear I shot in self-defense. He wouldn't help me unless I helped him stick up the bank. So I ran out.
You know, Jim, last night I heard some of that story from another source. Up to then, I'd been wondering about your past.
Well, now you know.
Yeah. The law over in Val Verde County found that you'd come here and that you'd been doing a fine job as a deputy for 5 years. The law figured you might have shot that no-good gambler in self-defense. A man came here to find out what you were at heart, lawman or killer. You might have tried to save yourself, either by shooting Taylor or letting the lynch mob have him.
I thought of that.
If you'd tried to do either one, you'd have gone back to Val Verde to hang for murder. But you proved yourself a good lawman. Go on back to Val Verde, and you'll find you won't have much trouble clearing your name.
But gosh. Hank,
Your sister's waiting for you, Jim. When you come back, bring her with you. I'll be waiting to swear in Deputy Jim Dodsworth.
Where? Oh. Hey, that masked man. He's the one who came here from Val Verde.
Yep, and he'll report to the governor, who'll see that you're in the clear.
But I don't even know his name. Who is that masked man?
I don't know his name, Jim, but you can call him the Lone Ranger.
This is a feature of the Lone Ranger Incorporated, created and produced by George W. Trendle and directed by Charles D. Livingston. Tonight's story was written by Fran Stryker. The part of the Lone Ranger is played by Brace Beamer.
You've been listening to the OTR Gold Network. Find more classic radio at otrgold.com.